Greetings, my name is Danielle Palli, and I'm a nationally board certified positive psychology and mindfulness coach. I'm also an educational workshop creator and facilitator and presenter, and a multi-genre author. And today I'd like to talk about forgiveness. And this topic is quite a bit trickier than people might realize. And we're going to talk about it from the person needing to be forgived and the forgiver or potential forgiver. So we're going to start with the person who did whatever the bad thing was. And there was a break in trust. It could be lying, stealing, infidelity. It could be any number of things, large or small. In a best case scenario, the person goes perhaps to another person and says, "Please forgive me." And the person who is wronged says, "Yes, I forgive you." And the relationship is saved. Everything goes on. There's better communication, better empathy, better relationship. That's the best case scenario. But that's not always what happens, is it? Sometimes we ask for forgiveness and the person says point blank no, or "I'm not ready to forgive." And what happens? Sometimes we put the burden on ourselves, like, "I need you to forgive me," right? But unfortunately, that's putting an expectation on someone else to forgive you so that you feel better. And that's not on them. So sometimes the person who's asking for forgiveness gets angry and says, "Well, you should be over this by now." I'm here to tell you that you don't get to decide when someone else forgives you. That's not up to you. You can ask for forgiveness, but you can't decide when, how, and if they forgive you. Sometimes you're forgiven, but the relationship still ends. And you'll say, "Well, I thought you forgave me." But that doesn't mean that a person's going to forget or that they're not going to set a boundary to protect themselves. So the person might say, "Yes, I forgive you, but I'm not doing this relationship anymore." And so understand that they are not required to forgive and forget. So what can you do? The best suggestion I can make is asking for forgiveness, making amends as well as you can, and then practice self-compassion and learn how to forgive yourself and grow from the experience so that you're not going out and repeating whatever that was over and over again. You're breaking that pattern. Now let's talk about the flip side. I want to talk about the person who was wronged. Sometimes there's a little extra pressure put on the person where they feel like, oh, people might say, "You should have gotten it over it by now." We forgive and we recover in our own timeline. So if we need time to process, kind of take the pressure off yourself to have to decide immediately whether you're going to forgive or not. Now, I will say, if you, in the case of some kind of betrayal in trust, say in a marriage, if you never forgive the person, or every time there's an argument, bring up the thing and 10 years go by, and then finally you say, "Okay, now I'm ready to forgive," that may be too late to reestablish or save the relationship. And that's not saying you have to forgive quickly, just understanding that holding on to that anger can inhibit a relationship. I'll also say that forgiveness is better for your mental and physical health, because what happens when we're angry? We have higher blood pressure, our immune system suffers, we suffer in our sleep patterns, our physical health, our mental health. We tend to have more chronic pain and headaches from muscle tension. We have digestive issues, all these things affecting our mental, emotional, and physical health. So it's almost as if you not only got injured once, but now you're getting re-injured over and over again. So being able to forgive means letting all that go so that you are healthier. And also forgiveness is a way to better relationships. We learn empathy, we learn self-compassion, and we learn better communication. Because when you learn to forgive other people, you're a little less judgy about yourself. Because people place a lot of self-judgment on things they've done wrong. And when you learn to forgive other people, you can also learn how to forgive yourself. I'm going to close with one of my favorite quotes from Nelson Mandela, who was in prison for 27 years. And he said, "As I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison." If forgiveness is an option for you, I think it's always the best option. So when possible, practice forgiveness. Thank you for joining me.